Hello. So episode number...
3.
Here we are again. So obviously we have been touching very lightly. First episode was all about our founder story, how we started, how we met, where it all began, how it's evolved over the last 7 years. Second episode was more about kind of digging deep into the whole depths of PR. This episode, what we're going to be talking about?
We thought we'd cover independence with artists because I think that's a main topic, right?
Yeah.
Right, especially in the last few years. It's like, how can artists remain independent without having to sign away all their rights? And it used to be called unsigned, which is now a really dirty word.
Bad word.
So independence is the new, and it's at least it's the sort of forefront of artists
We've got
becoming entrepreneurs and really taking on the music industry themselves without them to sign away their rights. So over to you. I don't know. To know your thoughts.
So my thoughts are about being an independent artist is, I mean, it's epic because you have got uncapped earnings basically. So it's an opportunity for you to basically release as and when you want to. So it's up to you. You don't have a major label telling you when to do what, when to write, when to get in the studio, when to record, when to put out music. I know some artists that are assigned to some of the biggest major labels in the world, and they're not allowed to release anything for the next 18 months because there are other major label artists in the same field as them competing at the same time with releases during those periods, so they're not allowed to release. And they're sat there frustrated as fuck because they can't release. So being an independent artist gives you the freedom to release as and when you want. Obviously that comes with its price to pay because you have to obviously pay for everything. So you have to pay for your own producer, your own studio time, your own artists and recording artists and and all of that kind of stuff. So it does come at your own price, but you get 100% of that money back, don't you?
Yeah, well, that's the idea, right?
That is the idea.
And the main way to see it now is investing in yourself, as opposed to having to pay out and then moving that onto a label, which is what a lot of artists do because they're under pressure. They're like, how can I get the money? I need a label to pay for everything. And they get to this roadblock and they're like, I need a label. I can't move forward without a label. But that's not true. I mean, like producing music now is cheaper than ever before. You can collaborate online.
You can do it in your bedroom. There's so many tools and apps and plugins and stuff that you can use. I mean, in some cases you probably don't even need live artists to do any recording for you.
And I believe in limitation as well, because those limitations are going to help you figure out ways to come up with something creative that's a little bit different because you've got those financial constraints. If you have a multi-million-pound studio to go to, you might just follow the set pattern of how things are recorded. The likes of the Adeles and The Weeknd and Sheeran, and you follow that route, right? But if you don't have the tools, you're like, well, what can I do with these tools? And really push the boundaries and the limits of your imagination on what you want or how you can best use them. For example, Bon Iver, when he was caught in, he shacked up in a little place in the forest,
a cabin in the woods,
and all he had was an old Gibson guitar, and he just knocked out an incredible album because he isolated himself from a lot of distraction. He figured out how he could get a certain sound out of the guitar. He could mic his voice in certain ways and his instrument, and it came out with something amazing. Distraction.
Actually, let's remember that for later because that's quite a big topic. Actually, I'm sure for most artists and musicians at the moment is the distraction thing. But I know artists that I have an artist in particular that I work with who's racked up 1 million streams on a song that they put out a couple of months ago, and they picked all of their artists to record parts via Fiverr. They went on Fiverr, found artists who were charging like maybe £50 an hour to do the guitar parts, to do the drum parts. They put the track together and they've managed to release it. They own 100% of the full rights of it, and they have racked up 1 million plays. So
it's incredible.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible, and
people they love collaborating.
So where do you start? Like, so if I'm an artist and I've been in tons of other bands before. I got really pissed off with, there's always someone in a band that doesn't pull his weight, doesn't put his hand in his pocket, or her hand in his pocket, or their hand in their pocket, and you're like, fuck this, I'm doing it alone. So you're starting alone. What do you do? What's the first thing you can do? You want to put an EP out. Say you want to put an EP out in December. What do you do right this point, early August?
I think first off, you need to start soul searching before you get into the details.
Soul searching.
Look at the why. Like why? No, what? Like why? I mean, like why are you doing it? I think that
let's get the joss sticks out. No, I'm joking.
A lot of artists, they don't actually ask these big questions because they get so caught up in like, I just need to put out music, and it's like, well, why are you doing this? 100,000 pieces of music going out every day. What is it that you're?
Therapy, right?
What is it? Therapy, or is it trying to say a bit of social insecurity? Is there certain insecurity? You just need fans. You want attention. Is it an attention thing, or is it that you want to create a great piece of art that's timeless?
Why do you
just
put
jumping on the
music
next hot
out?
thing?
Okay, why do you put music out? Let's try to work out your why. So sort of give people examples because they might actually not know.
Me personally, I just love the creative process. And that's what I enjoy. I love bringing people together and sharing ideas and watching something just start from nothing into something. That gives me pleasure. Whereas other artists that I've met and we've come across, many of them, they love being on tour. They love the fans. They love interaction that they have with people, and they really, they crave off that. So I think understanding your why is probably the best thing to start with, because then you understand your place in all of it.
That's a really good point, actually. Your why,
and then so the things that you least enjoy, you want to punt out to other people and bring them in and create a team.
How do you collaborate? So for example, if you're in deepest, darkest Canada and maybe you don't have a friend or a sort of, a friend nearby or a fellow musician nearby within 100-mile radius, and you want to collaborate, how do you collaborate when you're in that sort of situation?
Well, I mean, online, right? So we've got this thing called the internet.
Oh, yeah. What's that? The World Wide Web.
So obviously you can create things in your bedroom, basement, and then seed it out to people and see what
How do you find... So this is an interesting way. So what you could do, a bit of advice from both of us, is if you're on your own, so you've decided to go it alone, you're going to be a solo artist, maybe have a look at artists that you love, or maybe go on the Spotify feature of artists that sound like you, basically, or maybe artists that you're inspired by, and just don't be afraid to reach out to them via email, direct message them on Instagram, see if they want to collaborate, send them an idea, right? Send them an idea and tell them that this is an idea of how you get going on something you really like, and see what they come back with. If they don't reply, maybe try a few more times and then just let it go, right? So there's the art process, the making of the art. There's the story, the why. What next in terms of an independent journey? What do you do next? So you might now have your tracks. You've got about 3 tracks that you love. What do you do next?
Yeah, I mean, you find out your why, obviously, and you put your music together. But the why will help you with bringing in your team. So communicating a vision. People want to get behind a vision. If you don't have the money and resources to pay a big team, you're going to need a vision, and you need a vision anyway. But the story is you. It's your authentic self, and that's gives you context behind your music. We live in this world now where music is everywhere, but also it feels like it's turning on a tap. You're just consuming it in that moment, and you don't really know the backstory. You don't know anything around the artist. And so we live in this world of like just instant gratification, just fast paced, on to the next. So I think what's important more than ever now is to build context around your music. And that's where the story comes in, where the why comes in. And you first off, you need to sell that to your team. You need to get them behind it. And once you've got them behind it, you get your fans behind it. And your fans will tell other fans, and so on and so on. You start to grow. And that's how you create community.
And what you could do as well, just thinking about it and thinking out loud here, is like, let's say, for example, if you are literally, I don't know, you have a part-time job in Tesco's at the weekend, you still live at your mum and dad's, you live in suburbia, you don't really have much else going on. You could actually create an alter ego. You could literally design the artist that you want to be. So you could literally get pen to paper and write out the profile of this artist, who they are, what they want to be, what they eat, what they drink, what they look like, what they wear, and actually go into that alter ego. So that might not be you initially, but you will get there eventually, because you'll feel and look at, because a lot of massive artists like Beyonce, she goes into an alter ego state of mind when she performs and when she writes. Lady Gaga does the same as well. So you can actually sort of fake it till you make it almost as well. So I think there's something to be said there. David Bowie used to do it. He'd go into all these mad different characters.
I think the character's part of the art as well, right?
Yeah,
so it's
definitely.
It's multiplying your personality in different ways. And I think sometimes we don't really understand what is our true personality, because often when people go on stage and they wear they wear makeup, masks, or whatever it is, they feel themselves.
Yeah.
Because they're not having to put on what they think is another personality. So I think, exploring different sides of your character, maybe building on the things that you're least comfortable about.
Yeah.
You know, you see some of these artists, these punk artists, they got like maybe a big beer belly, but they accentuate it on stage. You know, they make that a thing.
Yeah.
I think there's a strength in vulnerability.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like building on what you're trying to hide is actually your strength. It's the
That's
thing that's
very
standing
true.
out.
That's very true.
And we saw that with Lizzo as well. She that moment, that breakthrough that she had when she realised that, look, I'm not going to be shy about this. I'm going
to carry on playing my flute as well, and flutes aren't cool in pop music.
I'm going to use this as a tool of empowerment for other women, and I think that she did that massively well.
It's true, and as an artist, you may have, I don't know, your parents might be rooted with Arabic kind of roots and have sort of cultural kind of moments in your family, and you may feel, or you might listen to or be influenced by music that maybe your mum and dad listen to, and you could kind of bring that into the forefront. Sometimes we try and hide all that stuff, and actually that might make you who you are, make you the unique person that you actually are. So, it's about kind of finding, I think you've definitely got to have a USP. Yeah. You've definitely got to be unique and different. I think you don't want to fall into the indie landfill because it exists.
Or jumping on what's hot right now.
Or jumping on what's hot.
Because by the time you've done that, replicated that,
changed.
It's over.
Exactly. And I mean, we all know there is, 500,000 tracks are uploaded on Spotify every day? Or
no, it's about 100,000.
100,000, sorry, I thought it was 500,000. But apparently, in total, there is something like 500 million tracks on Spotify right at this point in time. And there are almost 50% of them with less than 10 plays, which is a hugely sobering stat. So we don't want you to fall into that 50% of 10 plays, because, so what happens when you you've got your music, you've put it out, and then nothing happens? Because we've all done that, haven't we? We've all been there where, you're so keen to release, I've got to upload it on Spotify. What could you do? What must you do before that point?
Yeah, I think there's a danger when you try to perfect something, or you believe you put so much into it, and therefore you expect so much out of it. I think the best thing with music is to expect nothing.
Yeah,
and if you've loved the process, you've already got the win, right? You've enjoyed it enough to the point of creating it. It's why you did it in the first place.
Yeah.
So by the time you get it to put it out, if the world loves it, that's great. If they don't, they don't. But I think it's having that humility to say, okay, maybe I could write something else. I can carry on, but keep enjoying the process.
Yeah.
And not looking for the end point all the time. If we're only living for that end point, you got to ask yourself the why again. Why are you doing it?
Yeah.
And
what if people say the end point is, I just want to be successful? What is success? Like, what does that mean to an artist? If they say, I want to be successful, I just want to be a successful artist, what would you say to somebody
We
that
hear it
says
all the
that?
time with artists, and I think that, you know, they go headlong into promotion, not really understanding what the why and what are they trying to achieve by success. What does success look like to them?
Yeah.
Is it supporting an artist on tour, or is it being in the studio creating a timeless album? Like, you know, what is it that successful outcome is to you? Or is it just being able to earn enough money to not have to work a day job, or to be a barista, or to have to pull pints? Like, what does that success thing look like? And oftentimes we get too caught in the idea of making it. I think making it, you need to redefine that, and for you personally, what does making it mean? I mean, we've come across artists who've made it because they don't have to work standard day jobs anymore. They've earned, maybe they're earning like $2,000 a month or something. It's enough to pay the rent, enough to food bills, everything, and stay on tour and go carry on doing gigs. And they're living a happy life. That's making it.
Yeah, we've got lots of friends in that situation, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've got lots of friends that just make music for sync. So all they do is write music for TV and series programs, basically, and they've got a really nice sustainable income. A lot of people get sort of like, you know, starry-eyed when you look at people like, I don't know, Ed Sheeran and you know, Drake and people like that, and go, well, I want to be like them. But the thing is, did you know that someone like Ed Sheeran, what did he do? Like 200 gigs in a year, probably for like 4, 5, 6 years. And he hustled hard, and overnight success takes like 5 years or something like that. So don't believe the hype. You know, a lot of these huge artists worked really, really hard.
And it's not just the artist, it's the team.
Behind them.
I think that's the
team,
misconception, is we only see the peak of the mountain. We see the peak, the iceberg. We don't see the entire structure underneath it. And when you look at Taylor Swift, you look at Adele, you're looking at a huge team. You're looking at a team of choreographers,
managers, finance managers,
lawyers,
legal, wardrobe,
exactly,
PR,
marketing teams. You're looking at, and these guys need the credit as well. So.
Yeah, and so here's a good way to think about it. If you are an artist, so say you're like, okay, I'm in business, I want to do this, I want to write, I want to release, I want to tour. You maybe start with assigning yourself a manager, and that can literally be your friend, your uncle, your mum, your dad. You've got somebody that's accountable. You're accountable, to somebody else. So you could sit there and just work out a plan between you, and that manager could check in with you once a week and go, you said you'd do this last week, have you? It could be your mate, but they could just be your acting manager until you get the manager. You know, my experience is I've managed quite a few artists, and you know, at times I was the acting manager until their professional manager came in, but I kept them accountable, and that was the key thing. I made them stick to their plan. I made them stick to the releases, the writing schedules and things like that. And so for those people that go, I don't have a manager, I can't possibly do this, just get anybody to manage you temporarily, as long as they're decent, you know, and they sort of know. What would you say to that?
I would say they need to believe in you and to believe in the mission, but that goes back to the story and the vision. So if you can communicate, understand your why, understand your vision, and communicate that to the people around you, and you'll be amazed at who will want to be a part of that and want to join it, and even work. A lot of the time, work voluntarily. They won't actually ask for money up front. Maybe there's money later in the future, but
they'll just want to come along for the ride and the experience, because it's fun in this industry.
Exactly, and you might have people who want to intern for you as a videographer because it gives them experience with a real artist going in the studio, playing shows, and they can then leverage that into getting bigger gigs later on. Or they might stay with you. You never know.
Yeah.
But there are people out there who are willing and want to be a part of an idea, and if you share that idea in the right way, and you believe in it, you stick to it, and you stay true to your values and your vision, you can build a team. And when the money comes, you can then look after them.
Reward them.
And reward them together. And obviously that will then bring more success and so on. Treating it as a business as well.
Yeah, you're right. You do need to treat it like a business, basically.
That's the dilemma that you have as an artist, because you want to spend all day being an artist. You don't want to push out spreadsheets and things like that to people. You want to be focused on like business matters and marketing and PR and and it is a dilemma, but you can, once you build a team, share that with other people. So share that, like bring in the people who are great at it and enjoy that side of things, but still treat it as a business because you're running a team, right? You're looking after your people. So
you've got like a P&L almost, haven't you?
Yeah, and not be afraid of it. I think get yourself educated as best as you can.
Yeah, that's so true.
Once you establish your own financial independence, you are technically independent. So it's like, what you got to understand is what is becoming independent for you. Is it becoming like earning millions a year, or is it just earning enough to keep the rent and the bills paid?
Yeah, and then allowing you more time to do your art and all the great things. And what are the streams of income then? What are the potential sources of income in music?
There's multiple streams of income. So they include like publishing and sync. So you've got streaming.
Yeah.
You've got merch. You've got live shows.
Yeah.
Patreon.
Yeah.
Maybe you're going to get sponsors with brands to help you endorse some of your videos. I think what the key thing is about setting
brands is a great one, and we'll have to really deep dive into that because I think that could be a whole other subject.
The key thing is setting up these streams of income, right? So it's not ignoring them, but actually having them set up. Let's just say you're only earning £1 from every single one.
Yeah.
That's great because at least you set them up.
Yeah.
Right? And then once you set them up, you can then start to build them.
Yeah.
So eventually you might be earning like 500 out of publishing and sync, right? And then another 300 out of streaming and another 300 out of merch. Maybe you're earning 400 in brand sponsorships. And slowly but surely, you could be earning 2,000 a month quite easily, which is enough to pay a lot of bills and rent for a lot of people.
Now, brand sponsorships is particularly interesting because you could literally look at, like, so for example, with brands, they always stand by certain values or brand pillars or whatever like that. So you could almost like try and identify your own brand pillars and your own values as an artist. Okay, so you might not really know your story, but you may know what your values are. What do you stand for? So you might be an artist, a female artist or a male artist that stands for female empowerment, equality, hard work, passion, I don't know, creating a better environment, all these great things, right? And then you could almost like look at your values and then try and match them to a brand's values, and because brands always list them out on their website. Normally it'll be on their front page, in their about story. We worked with Nasty Girl, and Nasty Girl has really strong values. It's normally independence, it's female empowerment, it's equality, okay? It's finding the queen from within, tapping into sort of fierce higher powers. And they wanted us to match those values with artists that we worked with, okay? So as an artist yourself, you could do exactly that. You could basically figure out what your values are and match them up to a brand that you particularly like. Even just pitch your values at them, okay? Try and match them, because they'll only really look at you if you've got matching values, right? Let's say, for example, you're an artist and you go around tearing around in a Hummer or a big like 4x4 dirty stinking diesel engine. The chances are you're probably not going to want to approach a green or an environmental type brand, are you? Okay, because it's just not going to go. They're not going to want to work with you because of everything you stand for. It's got to be authentic. Always got to be authentic, isn't it?
Yeah.
But brands is a massive opportunity for independent artists, right? Brands love independent artists because as much as they all want to work with the massive artists, they can't afford to work with the massive artists. We sat with a bunch of sync agents early in this year when we were in Dubai, didn't we? And they work with brand agencies all the time. Brand agencies will always say, I want this track, but they can't afford it, okay? So they will then look for a smaller artist.
Yeah, but the word can't afford is never true. They can afford it.
They can afford it.
They just don't want to afford it. So a lot of the time you've got a few gatekeepers to get past. The main thing is not speaking to someone who only has a very small budget on their release fee. They can only release a certain amount of money. So talking to the right people could open up
How do you find
budgets.
the right people? Where do you, so if you're an artist and
I mean, it's about relationships, and that's what we do best, I think. When it comes to the
it's usually
relationships
finding an artist like an agency like us. Sorry,
yeah. I mean, it is because by all means go out and give it a shot. But comes down to the relationships, and then trusting in you, and oftentimes they'll want a big artist for like nothing, and it doesn't really work like that. So they'll go down to smaller artists, and I think brands will always say they want to support independence. It's how we communicate those values, like you say, for them to get the buy-in, so it actually happens.
Yeah, and it could be just thinking about it. If you're in your local town, and there's a couple of local retailers that actually you know and like really well, it could be as simple as you actually popping into the store and saying, look, if I can pick up a few items of clothing to wear for my next music video or my next live gig, which is down in the local town, I will plug you across my socials, and there's a beautiful synergy going on here. And it could be on a very base local level, couldn't it? Brand relationship building. Obviously when we talk about brands, we talk about the big massive brands. So like I said, we talked about Nasty Girl earlier. We work with Tesla. Now Tesla is huge, one of the biggest tech companies out there, right? They were launching an in-car music app. So it was a music making app, and they wanted us to source artists for them to come into the car, to drive around, obviously park safely, and then make music via this app. And for them, they had a very clear definition of the kind of artists they wanted, didn't they? We presented them with quite a few. Do you want to kind of elaborate on that? What did we do?
Yeah, they were going for more of the kind of they were trying to appeal to more the Gen Z audience. So looking at other features within the car that would appeal to be more entertaining, more interesting, and I think this app allows you to make music on the go, and that's the whole idea, is because eventually when it gets fully automated, we're not going to need to drive anymore. We'll just create and enjoy.
We're going to be driven whilst we make music in the car.
Exactly. And I think so it's quite forward. It's quite forward thinking, like what they were doing. But yeah, I think it's just an interesting place to create music, right? I think some people like to make music in the woods. Some people want to make music in a car. You can make music in a closet if you wanted to, or at a bus stop. It's all about trying to get different vibes going.
Try new things, absolutely. And one thing actually as well that brands like to do is they want to be at the forefront of music discovery. So they want to find the next Mahalia, and the next Rihanna and the next Beyonce. So they want to start at the grassroots level, because you guys are the coolest ones right now, okay? So they want to go, we found her, we found him, okay? And look what we did. They rose up, we all rose up together on this one. So yeah, brands is a massive opportunity, and I think in future episodes we'll actually bring brand directors into this conversation, won't we? And we'll actually have some lives with some big brands and get them to talk about what they're looking for as well, because I think that'd be really interesting. Maybe we could do a few podcasts around that as well. So don't worry, we will cover that in more depth at some point. Sync. Now, talk to me just a little bit, because sync could be a whole nother subject as well. A whole sort of vidcast in itself.
Yeah, I mean, this is huge for artists, obviously, but I think sometimes you can get besotted with one income stream over the other. It's about multiple streams. And aggregating them, building them up together. I mean, sync, yes, you can earn decent money through sync.
Okay.
But don't just rely on it, obviously.
Right.
One of the things I would recommend, and this is what I've understood throughout the industry, is like pairing yourself not just with the right sync company, but with another person who creates for sync.
Okay.
So maybe there's a producer out there who already has sync deals in place with some of the bigger players. Yeah. Join up with him or her and make music together. Yeah. And through that, you can get your foot in the door and eventually get some sync. Yeah, because it's quite hard otherwise. It's very tough because there's a lot of volume of music coming in. Yeah. And the other thing is volume. Like you really need to focus on not just putting one or two tracks out and waiting for the big payday. It's about getting a roster of tracks, a whole repertoire out and about, and with the right maybe top 3 sync companies. Yeah. That will distribute it throughout the world, and you'll be able to earn steadily through that. But again, that takes commitment, time, dedication, knowing the right person.
Also, I went to a really good Think Talk, just while I remembered, at Wide Days in Scotland, which is an amazing festival, and I totally recommend it. And I was sat with a load of sync managers, and there is a template which apparently you can get online, which literally allows you to, you've got to almost pitch your music. There's almost certain fields and metadata that you must get right. And if you get that metadata spot on, they are more likely to pick your track and look at your track than somebody whose track probably sounds better, but they've got all the tags all over the place, and you need to do all the, like, what does it sound like? Who are you influenced by? What mood does it generate? Where does the chorus come in? How long does the chorus last? Is it, so there's templates, and I think everyone should mirror those templates, because if the opportunity is there and you do it right, you will get into that pile that they go through. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly,
absolutely. Streaming. That's a big one. Very contentious one. This is one that's fought over by art, and rightly so, because the payout is ridiculous, and we all know that.
Yeah.
However, you can earn something through it.
Get on the algos, right?
If you add up all of the outlets together, and don't just focus on Spotify, Apple Music. We're also looking at Pandora. We're looking at Deezer.
Yep.
All the way through. There's actually 200 something out there, different distributors.
Oh my goodness,
and what you'll find is the lowest paid ones are the biggest ones. The higher paid ones are the smaller ones.
Oh, yes.
So when you aggregate across all of them, you can start to generate a reasonable amount, providing your music gets played on multiple different types of platforms, right?
Yeah.
So the key thing is, when it comes to independence, is you get to see what those earnings are before a label or a middleman or also whoever gets to see it, and then share it with you and tell you later on that there was loads of expenses and they can't quite give you the full amount. So this is another reason why independence is great, because you get to get those earnings 100%, and you get to grow from them and so on, and you get that transparency. So that's the key thing is yes, there is a fight to be had with Spotify. Yeah, we need to join forces. Yes, we should come club together and fight for the money. But also, let's not forget, there's many platforms that.
And how? Okay, so taking Spotify as one, how do you trigger the algorithm? Like, that's the question that's on everybody's lips, because obviously it's not just about the streams and the numbers. It's about triggering the algorithm. This is something we preach at Liberty every single day, and obviously artists. Yeah,
I mean, I literally want to get it tattooed on my face. Every time I speak to people on the team and the artists, it's the same thing. It's like, how can we get you to trigger these algorithms as opposed to focusing on how many streams we can get from just some playlists?
Yes.
So the playlists are the gateway into the algorithms.
Yeah.
And they should be seen as that, as opposed to, and I'm talking about independent playlists in particular.
Yeah.
The algorithmic playlists are where you're going to really see the results of the streams. You're going to see lots of streams over a long period of time, particularly the likes of Discover Weekly, Your Daily Mix, those kind of playlists. So the job of you as an artist is to try and trigger those algorithms. And one way is to improve your popularity score within Spotify. Normally when it reaches past 50% or so, you're then into the green light. The algorithms have kicked in.
Yeah.
So doing everything you can to trigger those is key, and that will help you earn a lot more over the long run. But it's a long game, that's the thing. And again, when you add up a number of tracks and you are open to just keeping on writing, you're going to earn more, because you can have several albums worth of tracks on there if you're not too precious about it.
Yeah.
And maybe you only want to push 2 or 3 focus singles, but the others are still generating streams for you.
Yeah.
So over the sum total, you might be able to do okay.
Yeah.
So, talk to me about superfans.
Superfans. Okay. So, I mean, do you know what a superfan is? A superfan can be, or can come in the form of lots of different people basically, but generally it is somebody who is very invested in you as the band or the artist. So it will be somebody that you probably see at every one of your gigs. It's probably someone that always comments and likes every post that you put up. It's probably somebody that listens to your track not just once when you put it out, probably listens to it about 100 times a month. These are the golden eggs within your batch, basically, and you want to look after them, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. Because
you want to look after them.
They're like the air in your lungs as an artist, basically.
Yeah,
they're
it's
keeping
cheesy, but it's true.
No, but they're keeping you guys alive, and I think oftentimes we overlook it because you get some love and you're like, oh yeah, I'm doing well now. This things are moving up. I'm kind of like at a point where I haven't got time to interact. It's like, really? I mean, you can't reply to 10 comments.
Yeah.
I think
exactly. I get it. Maybe when you've got 1 million fans, it's going to be a little bit more complex. But right now, like, you know, build and invest and connect, like Adam said. Like, make sure that you let them know that you see them. You see them and you appreciate them, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like interacting, right?
Yeah.
So it's a two-way thing. So I think we oftentimes think it's a one-way thing. Someone sent a like or a share or they've commented. And it's like, oh, great, a one-way thing. Maybe I'll like it back. But actually respond back in an authentic way. Be yourself. Actually, don't just say cheers or thank or whatever. Or emoticon.
You can do.
Yeah, but you can do if you've got 1,000, right? 1,000 to reply to.
Yeah.
But if you've only got 10, really, comments, is that all you're going to muster up? Right. Is that all you've got? You've got the time and energy to invest in building a real fan, right?
Yeah.
So you can apply that. You take like Post Malone, for example, the way he interacts with his fan. He really cares, and you can see the love. He diligently spends time with every single person in the room, if it's a small enough room.
Wow.
And doesn't leave a single person out. And I think that is big, is in part why he's got to wait. So given that sort of time of day, it really shows that you care, and it shows why you're doing it.
And actually,
and it's honesty as well.
Yeah.
It's being honest with why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because you're not doing it for you, you're doing it for the community, you're doing it as part of you.
Yeah.
It's part of everyone is you.
Yeah, and also actually I just had a thought here that I want to share quickly before it goes, is that this is why, you know, you get massive artists, like I think Kylie did it. Kylie played at the Old Blue Last, and Prince did a series of gigs around East London, and like Post Malone did the Dive Bar tour. They do actually want to get into smaller spaces. They want to get down, dirty and cozy with their fans, don't they?
Yeah.
And so when you're starting out as an independent artist on your journey, you're at that phase. You're at the phase where superfans actually wish they were at. And that's why they change it up sometimes and do these tiny little intimate shows, because they love it. Yeah. They love being down on the ground with their fans. So embrace this time, enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know, because you're able to actually look everyone in the eye in that room and actually connect with them, aren't you?
Yeah. So. Yeah, and they're friends. I think that's the way to treat them as fans of friends.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're not just this thing, this digit, or this person who's just on looking at a show. They're a friend, really. Yeah. If they're giving you the time of day, and I think when you know, you can interact with them, you can even vote. I mean, we've even had artists have fans in the chat throw them lyrics ideas and ideas for their new single cover or ideas for their show. That kind of thing is involving them and interacting and building a two-way relationship. So it's like that's another way to build a super fan, I think, over the long term, to make it as memorable for them as it is for you.
That's it.
So,
that's it.
Yeah.
And they say, so, you know, obviously you've got your super fans, write to them. Maybe even like, I mean, if you can, I've got artist.
I mean, live stream is big now. Obviously, TikTok live streams, like talking to them live. Yeah. What you can be in the studio, coming up with ideas and asking them input whilst you're there creating.
Love that.
And I think that engenders an even bigger audience, because everyone's like, hey, you know,
I
how's
want
it
him
going,
or her to speak to me, or next time they do a live.
And you just sort of, your energy, it's like you're in the room together all the time.
That's the power of social media, isn't it? It's no longer just a one-way vehicle to put into communicating with your artists, your audience. It's two-way. So taking that one step further, so there's that whole rule, isn't there, around generating 1,000 fans and then potentially having a very sustainable career and income from that. How do you do that? How would you start to build that 1,000 fan base? That's all you need, 1,000 fan bases.
The same way we just spoke about then, it's like interacting, but nurturing, not forgetting, knowing by name. And if it's in a real life scenario, like after a show, maybe they're the last ones at the bar. They want to talk to you, right?
Yeah.
So stick around. Start talking to them.
And your fans, actually, your super fans will be your biggest ambassador, and they'll actually more likely introduce your music to their friends and family.
Yeah, in an authentic way as well.
In an authentic way. Yeah.
And people love to buy off people, right? They love the recommendation of an actual person, as opposed to social media saying, "Listen to this."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You always have it when your friend goes, "Oh, have you heard this track?"
Yeah.
And that's so impactful, and that will come from the super fan.
Yeah.
So, and those super fans, if they spend, say if you've got 1,000 and they spend £100 a year on whether it's merch, live show, Patreon, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Times 1,000, that's 100,000 a year. Like you said, you're financially independent, doing the thing you love every day, and
you can chip away with it. We've got a friend who's an artist. He's a singer-songwriter. He writes really beautiful, sort of deep songs about sort of love and mental health and things like that. And his thing is that he's sort of taken that mental health theme and he's taken it out on the road, hasn't he? And he goes into schools and he goes and gives empowering talks to young people about mental health and being honest about your feelings and being open. And he's been able to chip away at creating fans in different pockets of the country through the schools circuit that he does, so there are different ways of connecting with those 1,000 fans, isn't there? You can literally do it in so many different routes, couldn't you?
Yeah.
It could be that you get out and about into different towns and cities and literally go and busk on the streets. There's a guy in Brighton called Ren Makes Music, and his thing is he literally busks religiously in Brighton every single week, and he has built his fan base through that, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And he does YouTube lives and shorts and everything.
That's the way they know him.
Yeah,
is
and
through
know
that
where
method.
they're going to find him.
And then, we've had other artists who just send playlists out to their fans. And they'll follow their fans on social media and see what they're up to and go, here's a playlist I recommend for you while you're in Ibiza or while you're on holiday or while you're relaxing or what.
Imagine that.
And they'll drop their track inside the playlist. So they're self-promoting as well.
Yeah.
And I think that shows that personability and that care that's going to be able to take you to the next level.
Love that.
I mean, artists will complain like, I haven't got enough time in the day.
Yeah.
Again, comes back to team. Yeah. So team will help you have enough time. And building infrastructure, but you need to be able to communicate the vision. So that's
that's special. I like that.
On that one.
Yeah, there's so much more that you could do there, but I think brick by brick you can do it. It might take you a few years to build those 1,000 fans, but how about you just start slowly, steady and slowly, and you can get there, can't you?
Yeah, brick by brick.